Kyung's hair. The two of them were truly enemies. Joo Kyung suddenly said that she saw everything. Sojun panicked and asked what she saw. Joo Kyung said that she saw leopard print panties. After saying that, Joo Kyung looked down at Sojun's pants, which made Sojun extremely angry. The next day, when Joo Kyung went to school, she went to see Sojun again. She jumped across in front of Sojun. Sojun watched Joo Kyung leave. He felt like he had fallen in love with Joo Kyung. At this time, the thugs had found a photo of Sojun and Joo Kyung. They thought Joo Kyung was Sojun's girlfriend. To get revenge on Sojun, the thugs went to find Joo Kyung. Then, they called Sojun and told him that his girlfriend was in their hands. Then they told him to come there quickly. Coincidentally, at this time, Sojun and Suho were together. Suho was extremely worried when he heard that. At this time, taking advantage of the time when the gangsters weren't paying attention, Joo Kyung made a video call with her classmates. The classmates immediately realized that something was wrong because the people in the video were all gangsters. Sujin immediately realized that this was the place she had been to last time. Suho and Sojun went from room to search, and finally Suho found Joo Kyung first. He didn't say much and immediately rushed over to beat up the gangsters. Even 4 or 5 people couldn't stop Suho. At this time, Sojun had also found the place. He threw his school bag aside and joined the battle. When Sojun saw that the gang boss was about to be beaten to death, he hurriedly stopped Suho. But suddenly, Sojun saw Joo Kyung's frightened eyes, and then he looked at the gang boss. Sojun angrily beat this guy up like crazy. At this time, Joo Kyung's best friend also ran to the scene. Sujin did not say a word and directly kicked the man to the ground. After that, the few of them also joined the fight. The match was extremely fierce. Sojun and Suho were taekwondo masters, and with a few martial arts of the girls, it didn't take long for the thugs to be at a disadvantage. With the screams, a perfect match and victory for the group of students. The next day, the karaoke bar owner came to the school, so all of them were punished by the school. After school, Suho went to find the male student who bullied Joo Kyung, then used his school idol power to force the male student to apologize to Joo Kyung. The male student was forced to the point of being helpless. That night, he went to find Joo Kyung. Joo Kyung thought he was going to cause trouble, so she sprayed pepper spray in his face. The boy panicked and said he came here to apologize. After apologizing, the boy ran away. Joo Kyung was still confused by his apology. The next day, Sojun somehow got 50 points on the exam. Everyone shouted in surprise. Even Sojun was surprised by this result. Sojun proudly asked Joo Kyung how many points she got on the exam. Sojun saw that Joo Kyung got 49 points. She was directly despised and ridiculed by him. Meanwhile, Sujin was very angry at this time, because if she didn't get first place on the exam, her father would beat her brutally. That night, Joo Kyung came home because her exam score was bad, so her mother threw away all her cosmetics. She was so worried that she burst into tears. At this time, Suho came to find Joo Kyung. Because the door was not closed, he opened the door directly. Just then, Joo Kyung came out crying. He was so scared that he quickly closed the door and hid to the side. After Joo Kyung came out, she went straight to the trash area to find her cosmetics. Seeing that Joo Kyung was sad, Suho took her to eat noodles. Although she was eating noodles, she felt like she was eating abalone. Thanks to Suho's company, Joo Kyung felt much better. After that, Suho took her home. As a result, she stepped on an earthworm. Joo Kyung was too scared to move. Suho had no choice but to sit down and take off her shoes. Afraid that she would fall when standing on one leg, he told her to sit down. Joo Kyung hesitated for a moment and sat on his shoulder. But Suho said he told her to sit over there. Joo Kyung was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. She took her cosmetics and went home, but was stopped by Suho. Then he pressed her against the wall. Joo Kyung also cooperated and closed her eyes. Finally, he gave her a hairpin. The next day, she brought the hairpin to her extra classes. Suho was waiting for Joo Kyung when he saw that Sujin was in a bad mood, so Suho chased after her. After asking, Suho found out that she had not gotten first place in the exam and had been scolded by her father. At this time, Joo Kyung came over and accidentally saw Sujin leaning on Suho and crying. Joo Kyung thought about how Suho had said before that he had someone he liked, which made her misunderstand him. When they went to extra classes, Suho told Joo Kyung to sit next to him, but she pointed behind him. Joo Kyung meant that she didn't want to sit in class with him anymore. After school, Joo Kyung also left early. After returning home, the more she thought about the scene of Sujin hugging Suho, the sadder Joo Kyung felt. Suddenly, Joo Kyung laughed loudly. Then she imagined the doll was Suho and stomped on it for a while. At this moment, her younger brother walked in. Seeing his sister go crazy made him scared. and quickly ran away. The next day, Sojun asked Ju-kyung to help him choose a gift for his younger sister. At this time, she received a call from Suho. Before she could say a few words, Suho suddenly heard Sojun's voice. Now Ju-kyung knew that Suho liked Sujin, so she quickly hung up. Suho thought about the person he liked being with another guy. He couldn't hold back anymore. Just as Ju-kyung and Sojun left, a hand held the elevator door. The person who came was none other than Suho. He didn't have much to do, so he directly pulled Ju-kyung away. Seeing this, Sojun couldn't do anything. He also grabbed Ju-kyung's other arm. At this time, the elevator door was slowly closing. Suho frantically pressed the button, afraid that Ju-kyung would get stuck in the door. The two of them were like a tug of war. They kept pulling Ju-kyung back and forth. They didn't even pay attention to the elevator. Suho pressed the switch and saw that it didn't work. He had no choice but to follow Ju-kyung and Seo-jun. Suddenly, the elevator broke down, causing them to get stuck inside. Just like that, both of them still didn't want to let go. At this moment, Ju-kyung suddenly wanted to go to the bathroom. She couldn't stand it anymore. The elevator broke down again, so Seo-jun hurriedly called for help. Meanwhile, Suho suddenly discovered the cup in Seo-jun's hand, so he immediately took it and gave it to Ju-kyung. This made Seo-jun angry. Ju-kyung told Seo-jun to quickly call someone to help Seo. After a minute passed, the elevator maintenance team finally arrived. At this time, Ju-kyung used all her strength. This skill shocked the two men immediately. The next day, the school organized a camping activity. Soo-jin was surprised to find Seo-jun and Ju-kyung wearing couple clothes. Suddenly, a male student ran up to Suho, and everyone noticed Suho. Suho kept looking at the two of them. On the school bus, Suho wanted Ju-kyung to sit next to him, but Soo-jin suddenly sat down there. Ju-kyung had no choice but to sit in the back row, and as a result, Seo-jun also sat next to her. Everyone quickly started shouting and cheering for them to love each other. At this time, Suho's eyes were on Seo-jun. Suho was extremely angry but couldn't do anything. After arriving at the camping site, everyone took a photo together. At this time, the classmates were shouting that Ju-kyung and Seo-jun were wearing couple clothes, so they should take a picture together. When the teacher saw it, he scolded the two of them for wearing couple clothes to go camping. Ju-kyung quickly denied it. After taking the picture, the classmates started teasing them again, saying that the two of them were dating, otherwise why would they wear couple clothes? Suho was very angry at the sight. Ju-kyung told Seo-jun to take off his shirt. Seo-jun joked that they had just started and she was already asking him to take off his shirt. Wasn't that a bit hasty? Then the two of them started fighting again. Not long after, the school organized a group game requiring 4 people to form a group. Sua's boyfriend wanted to put Suho and Ju-kyung in a group, so he intentionally pulled Ju-kyung to Suho's side. However, Soo-jin was already in the group, but Sua pulled her boyfriend over, so Ju-kyung accidentally became the extra person. Seo-jun saw this and quickly pulled Ju-kyung into his group. The host asked the 4 people to stand on a piece of paper. The 4 people from Suho's group hugged each other tightly, but Suho's eyes were only on Ju-kyung's group. Very quickly, everyone couldn't hold on any longer. Only 3 groups won points. Then the game started to upgrade. The remaining 3 groups folded the paper into 4. When Seo-jun heard this, he immediately felt that things weren't easy, so he directly picked Ju-kyung up. Suho couldn't stand it anymore. He wanted to rush forward to separate the two of them. Luckily, Sua's boyfriend pulled Suho back. The game continued. Sua also jumped on her boyfriend's back. The 4 guys from the 3rd team also hugged each other. Suho had no choice but to pick Soo-jin up. Ju-kyung looked at Suho. Suho also looked at Ju-kyung. In the end, the 3rd group failed. Now only Seo-jun and Suho's group remained. At this time, the game was upgraded again. The host asked the male students to only put 1 foot on the ground. Not long after, Seo-jun's team could not hold on any longer and fell down. In the end, Suho's team was the winning team. Suho saw Ju-kyung helping Seo-jun dust off, which made him even angrier. Soo-jin also happened to discover this. Then it was time for dinner. Suho's eyes were still looking at Ju-kyung. At night, Suho called Ju-kyung out alone. The two of them went further and further away. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. In fact, they did not know that this road was called the Road of No Return. Legend has it that there is something evil here. At this time, they discovered a strange boat on the riverbank. At this time, the group of students were listening to the story from the old man that there was a girl who was not satisfied with the marriage arranged by her parents, so she jumped into the well and left this world. From then on, whoever came near this well would suffer the revenge of the witch. But the group of students did not believe it. They also said that there were no ghosts in this world, so they decided to go find out. At the same time, Suho and Ju-kyung were sitting on the boat talking. When they were about to take a photo, a fly flew by. Ju-kyung panicked and fell into the river. After Suho saved her, the makeup on her face disappeared, revealing her bare face. Soo-jin happened to pass by. Ju-kyung, in order to prevent her classmates from seeing her without makeup, pushed Suho out. Soo-jin also discovered Suho. Suho hurriedly stepped forward to stop Soo-jin, but Ju-kyung accidentally fell to the ground. Soo-jin just wanted to check what it was. Suho lied that it was just a wild boar. Before Soo-jin could suspect anything, Suho pulled her away. At this time, the group of students finally reached the well. The chubby boys seemed to have discovered something. They gathered together and slowly approached the well. They were so scared that they ran away, not even having time to pull up their pants. Ju-kyung hurriedly stuck her head out to check, thinking to herself that they probably wouldn't recognize her. Ju-kyung was about to turn back when she accidentally met So-jun, who was looking for her. Suddenly the phone rang. So-jun discovered Ju-kyung. Ju-kyung was so scared that she fell from the tree, and So-jun was so scared that he fainted. Ju-kyung quickly hid in a secluded place and then sat down on a chair to see who had just sent the message. It turned out to be Suho asking where she was. At this time, Suho also received Ju-kyung's message. She told him that she had returned. Suho took out a box from his pocket. Inside was a necklace. It turned out that he wanted to confess to Ju-kyung. He didn't expect this kind of incident to happen. The next day, Ju-kyung woke up very early to put on her makeup again. She was afraid that her classmates would see her without makeup. After a while, the teacher gathered everyone and said that there were 5 hidden treasures nearby. Whoever found them would have them. So all the students started treasure hunting. Ju-kyung stepped forward and told the teacher that she wasn't feeling well. So-jun happened to see her, so he got in the car to find Ju-kyung. He called Ju-kyung several times, but she didn't respond, so he touched her forehead. It turned out that Ju-kyung had a fever, so he quickly got out of the car. A moment later, So-jun brought water and medicine and sat next to Ju-kyung. After Ju-kyung took the medicine, So-jun took off his coat and covered her. Then he put a small bracelet on Ju-kyung. On the other side, Suho couldn't find Ju-kyung, so he was very worried. So-jun saw Suho outside and quickly pulled Ju-kyung's head to his shoulder. After Suho got in the car, he saw the 2 people being intimate. He saw the bracelet on Ju-kyung's hand again. He was about to go and wake Ju-kyung up, but was stopped by So-jun. Seeing that he was blocked, Suho couldn't stand it anymore. Suho immediately rushed to fight Seo-jun. Just like that, the 2 people fought over love. Their classmates also saw them, but thought they were playing. Suho and Seo-jun fought and argued. In the end, they both lost, but they still didn't want to give up Ju-kyung. At night, the school prepared another party. At this time, the classmates asked So-jun to sing a song, but So-jun didn't want to sing. Ju-kyung asked So-jun if he really wouldn't go. So-jun said that he could go, but she had to agree to his request. Ju-kyung agreed. Then So-jun stepped onto the stage. He started singing. Ju-kyung didn't expect So-jun to sing so well. Normally in her eyes, So-jun was a man who only knew how to use violence. The next day, when Ju-kyung returned to school, she happily sent the photo that she and Suho took yesterday. But Suho waited for a long time but still didn't see the message. Then he asked Ju-kyung why she hadn't sent it yet. Ju-kyung opened her phone to see and found out that she had mistakenly sent the photo to the boy with glasses' cell phone. He was a busybody. If he knew, it meant that the whole school would know. Ju-kyung hurriedly ran to the boy with glasses and found that he hadn't read the message yet, so she just needed to get his phone back and delete the photo. Ju-kyung discovered that the glasses boy's phone was in his pocket, so Ju-kyung ran towards the glasses boy with all her might. While he wasn't paying attention to the phone, Ju-kyung snatched it and ran back to class. But the phone needed a fingerprint password to unlock, and just as she was about to go find the glasses boy, the teacher came. Fortunately, the glasses boy didn't notice during class, but Ju-kyung was very worried. After 2 classes, the glasses boy fell asleep, so Ju-kyung quickly lifted his finger and successfully unlocked it. Just as she was about to delete the photo, the glasses boy woke up. He asked Ju-kyung why she took his phone. So-jun suddenly appeared and took the phone. Seeing the photo of Ju-kyung and Suho together, So-jun was stunned for a moment. Ju-kyung immediately snatched the phone and successfully deleted the photo. So-jun looked at Suho with a very unhappy expression. The next day, Ju-kyung and Suho met. Ju-kyung disguised herself very carefully because being in love while still in school was too stressful. She once thought about being crushed by all the girls in school, so she had to be careful. She always chose the farthest place from school to date. Even when eating, she would choose the most hidden restaurant. The 2 of them even ordered a couple's meal, but ended up with only 1 set of utensils. They looked at the people at the next table. Only Only then did they realize that the couple's package was like this. So Suho fed Ju-kyung, but at this moment the waiter ran over and saw this embarrassing scene and turns out that just now she brought up a missing set of cutlery. Suddenly Ju-kyung was startled because she saw her classmates coming to greet her. Ju-kyung immediately told Suho to quickly hide under the table. Her classmates asked Ju-kyung who she was eating with. She quickly said she was alone, but her classmates didn't believe her. They said that one person couldn't order for a couple. Suho below didn't dare to move. The classmates saw this and pretended to leave. Suddenly a butt appeared. Ju-kyung was extremely scared. The male student wearing glasses rationally said that they should still respect other people's privacy. Just like that, he greeted Suho and said a few more jokes before turning around and leaving. On Sunday, Ju-kyung went to look for a part-time job to earn money for tuition because of her lack of experience, so they didn't want to hire her. When she went into the bathroom in a disappointed mood, she saw a pervert changing clothes in the girls' bathroom, only to find out that this pervert was So-jun. Ju-kyung asked him why he was in the women's restroom. So-jun noticed that there didn't seem to be a urinal nearby, so he ran away. It turned out that So-jun was working part-time at this store. He came here today to take a poster photo with his handsome face. So-jun just needed to pose casually, and he would have countless beautiful photos. Ju-kyung also came to watch this scene. At this time, the director saw Ju-kyung's figure, plus the fact that the model had a conflicting schedule today, so the director decided to let Ju-kyung take this place. Ju-kyung heard that she could make money and immediately agreed. Because Ju-kyung was inexperienced, So-jun didn't want to cooperate with her. The photographer saw that they weren't in the right position, so he told them to take a break. During the break, Ju-kyung felt very hot, so she lifted her skirt and fanned herself frantically. Even So-jun couldn't stand it anymore. Ju-kyung also wanted to help So-jun wipe his sweat, but he stopped her. Then he pushed her down on the sofa, and the two looked at each other. So-jun said that he was also a man. Ju-kyung replied that of course he was a man. Could it be that he was a woman? At this time, the photographer who came over was very happy to see this scene. He quickly picked up the camera and took a photo right away. The two of them cooperated very well. So-jun also took the opportunity to lean close to Ju-kyung, making her feel a little shy. After taking the photo, Ju-kyung took the initiative to invite So-jun to eat to thank him for helping her earn money today. Ju-kyung didn't know that So-jun couldn't eat spicy food, but he didn't want her to be sad, so he still tried to eat it all. After finishing eating, the two of them went home. On this side, a couple was feeding pigeons when an uncle suddenly caught the food. Then he put it in his mouth and ate it. The couple looked at the uncle with contempt. Then they threw some more food, but the uncle still caught it. Then he started eating it again, and he even learned how pigeons beg for food. This scene was accidentally seen by Suho. Suho was talking on the phone with Ju-kyung, but her father ran over and hung up. It turned out that Ju-kyung's father was trying to get money from the person who had cheated him, so he chose to run away from home. After that, Suho took Ju-kyung's father home. The father still didn't know that Suho was in love with his daughter, and it seemed that the two of them were very compatible. They ate turkey noodles together, watched a football match together, and even hugged each other excitedly. The next morning, Ju-kyung's father told Suho that he would be home later and asked Suho to help keep it a secret. Suho agreed. That night, Suho and Ju-kyung went on a date when suddenly a bus passed by and splashed water on Ju-kyung. Suho quickly hugged Ju-kyung, but this scene was accidentally seen by Soo-jin, who had feelings for Suho. Seeing the intimate behavior of the two made Soo-jin extremely sad. Because Ju-kyung's clothes were wet, Suho took her home. After she changed her clothes and stepped out, the food arrived just in time. At this moment, a head slowly appeared, and he was Ju-kyung's father. It turned out that while he was cleaning, he saw a bottle of good wine. He intended to take only a small sip, but accidentally drank the whole bottle. Just like that, he slept until now. When he wanted to take the opportunity to leave quickly, he heard Suho's voice. He had no choice but to hide under the table. Ju-kyung and Suho also went to that table. Ju-kyung's father still didn't know that Ju-kyung was outside. The two of them were still eating pizza. This made Ju-kyung's father unable to resist his craving, so he secretly reached out and took a piece and started eating a big bite. Because the two of them were watching a horror movie, they were very nervous. Ju-kyung's father saw it and said that this guy dared to bring a girl home and praised Suho for being very brave. Finally, a female ghost rushed out, which aired Suho. He unconsciously approached Ju-kyung, and their eyes met. Seeing the opportunity, Suho slowly leaned towards Ju-kyung. Ju-kyung's father also quietly stuck his head out to see what Suho's girlfriend looked like. He recognized it as Ju-kyung at first glance, which made him angry. Just as they were about to kiss, Ju-kyung's father grabbed Suho's leg, which scared the two of them because they thought a ghost had appeared. When Ju-kyung clearly saw the face of the man below her, she immediately became confused. It turned out to be her father. Seeing this, Ju-kyung was extremely worried. After that, the father and daughter went home together. The father told Ju-kyung that she was absolutely not allowed to sleep with any men before getting married. But Ju-kyung felt that she was really embarrassed just now. For reasons of confidentiality, the father and daughter came to an agreement. The father helped his daughter hide their relationship from her mother, and the daughter helped her father hide the fact that he was staying at someone else's house from her mother. The next day when she went to school, so that Suho wouldn't be taken away by someone else, Soo-jin told Ju-kyung that I liked Suho. Ju-kyung was stunned after hearing that because she was currently dating Suho. Ju-kyung decided to tell Soo-jin about this. When Soo-jin heard that Ju-kyung and Suho were dating, she was very angry. Soo-jin didn't say anything and directly splashed juice on Ju-kyung's face. They used to be best friends, but ended up turning against each other. Suddenly, Ju-kyung stood up and shouted loudly. It turned out that everything was just a dream, but dreams often reflect reality. They were the two male gods of the school, but loved the same girl. That day, they went to Ju-kyung's house to make mandu. Ju-kyung's mother kept praising Seo-jun for being handsome and skillful, while Ju-kyung's father was very attentive to Suho. The mother told Ju-kyung that when she found a boyfriend in the future, she should choose one of these two. Ju-kyung just smiled shyly. Ju-kyung's father said he would vote for Suho. Her younger brother also agreed to vote, but Ju-kyung's mother said that her favorite son-in-law was Seo-jun. Suho was not to be outdone. He said that his father would perform in 2 days, and he would get a ticket for Ju-kyung's mother. Ju-kyung's mother was stunned after hearing this. Suho's father was her male idol, so this put her in a difficult situation. Suddenly, she thought of another way. She would vote for the person who made the better mandu. As soon as these words were said, Suho and Seo-jun immediately became excited. Although they appeared calm on the outside, the battle between the boys was secretly breaking out. The two of them rolled the dough faster and faster because both of them were determined to win this battle. Both of them used their hands that had been single for 20 years to create some pretty mandu. Ju-kyung's family was very surprised. Now they not only demanded quality, but also attractiveness. After a while, they were able to wrap a large amount of mandu, but things didn't stop there. Suho carved a golden dragon with 9 claws, while Seo-jun made an extraordinary crane. Ju-kyung's parents were shocked by these masterpieces. They didn't expect Seo-jun and Suho to have such talent. It was just a mandu, but it gave off a 5-star feeling. As a result, Ju-kyung's father accidentally touched it, and the masterpiece collapsed. In the end, the mother announced that Seo-jun won. Seo-jun directly looked down on Suho. While waiting for the mandu to cook, Suho went to Ju-kyung's room to chat with her. Suddenly he saw pictures of her when she was young, which made Suho think for a while. When he was young, he was sad because of his mother. There was a girl in the comic book store who always thought of different ways to cheer him up. It turned out to be Ju-kyung, but Suho didn't tell her. Instead, he asked her for a picture of her when she was young, but Ju-kyung thought she was ugly and didn't agree. So the two of them fought, and just like that, they fell onto the bed. If it wasn't unexpected, something unexpected would definitely happen. Ju-kyung's father angrily stepped forward and hit Ju-kyung. He said she was at home, how dare she do such a thing, and he told Suho that love must be healthy and pure. It was time to eat very quickly. Seo-jun and Suho went to get a table. Seo-jun asked why the two of them were arguing. Sometimes it was love, sometimes it was friendship. Suho said that their arguing had nothing to do with Seo-jun. Seo-jun got angry when he heard that. He immediately told Suho that if he saw Ju-kyung unhappy, he would take her back. As soon as these words were said, Suho angrily grabbed Seo-jun. The people downstairs were studying their work when they heard a thunderous sound from upstairs. The two of them rolled down the stairs. Not paying attention to their surroundings, they continued to fight. Ju-kyung's family was stunned and suddenly realized something was wrong. It turned out that Ju-kyung's parents were witnessing it. They finally used the Ju-kyung family's traditional method of reconciliation. That was to cut each other's toenails at the same time and say I love you. After the two of them walked out of the house, what they had just done made them feel disgusted. After kicking the air, the two of them looked at each other again. Then they ran away in disgust. The next day, while Suho was waiting for the bus, he suddenly saw that his dead friend's song had been stolen. On the other side, Seo-jun, who was working as a part-time model, also discovered that the three of them used to be close friends. For many reasons, Se-yeon's death and some misunderstandings caused the two to turn their backs on each other. At this time, they desperately ran to the recording company to ask for an explanation. When they crossed the street, a car was rushing towards them, and due to carelessness, both of them were hit by the car. After hearing the news of their accident, Ju-kyun immediately ran to the hospital, but she didn't know who was lying on the bed. She burst into tears as soon as she arrived, and when she saw Suho pushing the door open, Ju-kyun realized that she had mistaken the person. At this time, Seo-jun also stood up and asked who she was. At this time, Ju-kyung didn't know what to do. She had no choice but to jump into Suho's arms. Seo-jun asked who he was hugging. Suho lied and said that she was his cousin, but Seo-jun still had a little bit doubts. In order to not be discovered, Ju-kyung had to wear a piece of cloth on his head while the two were talking. Seo-jun felt very strange. The conversation between the two was not like that of cousins at all. Ju-kyun was afraid of being exposed, so she quickly left. The next day, Seo-jun wanted to go to the toilet, but it was inconvenient because both of his arms were broken. Suho walked in and saw Seo-jun shaking a little, so Suho asked him what was wrong. Seo-jun said it was okay. Suho didn't care about him anymore, but Seo-jun couldn't hold it in anymore. Seo-jun said he wanted to go to the toilet, but Suho didn't want to help Seo-jun. Suho even told Seo-jun to call the nurse himself, but in the end, Suho still couldn't escape taking Seo-jun to the toilet. At this time, Ju-kyung also put on beautiful makeup and went to the hospital. When she opened the door, she was extremely surprised to see Seo-jun and Suho lying on top of each other. Suho hurriedly explained that he was changing clothes for Seo-jun. Seo-jun saw that the two of them were talking about love and felt very unhappy, so he stood up and went out. Suho thought that Seo-jun was going to the bathroom, so he asked Seo-jun if you needed help. Ju-kyung was shocked. She thought that this could help, but when she saw Seo-jun's hand, Ju-kyung understood. Seo-jun asked her to stop imagining the scenes in her head. Seo-jun then ran away embarrassed. Ju-kyung was afraid that Suho would be bored, so she brought him some books from the comic book store, but the books fell to the ground. The two of them bent down to pick it up at the same time, but their shirts accidentally got stuck together. While they were trying to untangle it, her younger brother, who was told by mother to visit Suho, happened to see this scene. After putting the chicken soup down, the younger brother told the two of them to continue. He was going first. The two of them started to untangle their hair again, and coincidentally they heard the voices of Seo-jun's friends outside. If they saw this scene, the whole school would definitely know. Seeing that there was no time, Suho asked Ju-kyung to hide in his bed. He had just covered himself with a blanket when they rushed in, but Seo-jun wasn't there. At this time, Suho's classmates also came to visit him. They looked at him for a while, then insisted on lifting his blanket to see, which made Suho extremely scared. Ju-kyung was also trembling in fear under the blanket. On the other side, after Ju-kyung's younger brother came out, he met the goddess he had a crush on. It was obvious that Go-woon didn't like him very much, so Ju-kyung's younger brother started begging for Go-woon's sympathy. Just then, Seo-jun walked over. Go-woon saw Seo-jun and called out to brother. This surprised Ju-kyung's younger brother. He didn't expect that the two of them were siblings. He had previously thought that Go-woon was Seo-jun's girl.